Today, guys, we're going to be replacing this rear wiper arm assembly on the back of this Suburban. And normally something like this wouldn't even be worth making a video over, but there's a little bit more involved to it on the rear because you've got the washer fluid line, which means you're going to have to remove the inside cover to the wiper motor to do this repair. This particular arm has got a problem with the spring. It's just 20 years old, 21 years old, and it's not holding the blade against the glass on the arc, so I'm going to replace it with a new one. But let me show you how to get this off, because it's not really clear in the service manual how you do it. So the first step is we're going to open this guy up, and as we go up underneath, we're interested in right up on top here this cover that we have to get off so that we can pull the wiper fluid line off so we can pull it through the glass. And to get this off, you're going to need to have a small punch, and the easiest way I've found to do this is there's 4 of these retainers. There's one on this side, there's one on the other side you can't see, and there's 2 here on the top. And there's a little push pin in the middle of it. And what I do is I just push these straight through to release the tension on the fastener, just like that, right? And then when you release the tension on the fastener, you'll be able to pull it out. And the pins are going to drop right down in the tray, so you just, when you get ready to pull the thing off, you just want to be careful. Similarly, I'm just going to push this one through, and I'll push this one through. And you can get these off with your finger. And there was one of the pins right there. You might have saw it just dropped on the ground. This one here. So I'm going to try to hold this up so I don't lose any more of them. Kind of capture them. And then we got one more on the other side here. Pull this guy through, and then we'll be able to let this come down. Hopefully inside here. Actually, no. They dropped through on me, so I thought I'd capture them all inside the cover, but they're actually still sitting up here. There's one right there. All right, I'm just going to move this down so I can get these little guys to fall out. Right there. So there's one there, and I'm just going to shake each one of them out. They just kind of got fouled up on the wiper motor. So let me get those out and we'll come back. All right, so I got all 4 of these back, and what will happen if you look up here is this one here will tend to get stuck behind this part of the casing on the motor, or sometimes, depending on what your state of this tape is, it can get stuck there. Actually, one of them slipped back there and I didn't catch it. That was the one I stopped to look for. And the 2 on the top will also get wedged in into the casing. And so all you got to do is you bring the hatch down and you give it a few wraps, and it lets them come out. Just be careful on this side here. If you look on the other side, there's an opening over here. You can see from this direction. You just don't want to let anything fall in there. So you can maybe put a piece of paper over that opening so they don't end up inside the glass frame, the lift glass frame. But with that out of the way, the whole reason we did that is so that we could take this hose here and pull it off the barb. You might have some fluid leak out of here, you might not. But that gets this disconnected, and then we can close this down and we can pull that through. That was the whole reason for taking that off. The rest of this is pretty straightforward. It's just like the fronts. You end up having this release here that holds it onto the cam for the motor. You just need to get this guy released like that. It tends to lift up, it comes off all the way. And then you just need some way to prise it. I like to use a piece of plastic to spread the force against the glass. But then we just need to prise it off the cam. Now this one hasn't been off in like forever, so I expect it to be a bit of a fight. You just have to slowly work it off. Maybe put a little bit of penetrating oil on it, because like I said, this guy has not been off. So let me get that and we'll come back and keep working it off. All right, I'm just using some of this spray silicone, just because this plastic nut that retains the shaft of the motor against the glass. I don't want to use something petroleum-based that might attack it. This, and a little bit more wiggling, we should be able to get it off. It's probably just rusted on there. And there it goes. All right, so we're going to replace that guy with a new assembly, 150-43067. And that's going to be the whole thing, the arm and the washer sprayer, all is in one assembly, and the hose that we took out on the other side. And I'm just going to temporarily set this up here. We're also, good time to put a new blade insert on the arm, and that's going to be part number 150-10225. That will complete this. This guy will go on pretty simple. It just snaps on. I'm just going to cut this package open here. It's one of these kind of shrink wrap deals. And then when you're putting this guy back on, you can use the ridge of the line on the glass to see how to align it. I'm going to take this off for a second, show you what I'm talking about. But you can see, like normally on the front there's a little notch, but there's not a notch on the back, even though they've got one made into the casing. The motor doesn't actually have one. So you actually just have to line it up by eye. This guy just snaps on, with the arrow placing back to the pressing of the button to release it. If you were to be using the old one, you just stick a screwdriver in here like this, press this guy down, and that would let you take it off. Right, just like that. We'll put that back on there. And then so I'm just looking at like the dirt ridge from the glass. I'm just using that to kind of eyeball it to get it to where it should be. Right, get that back into position. Then I'm going to take this guy and run him through here. And then on the other side, we'll be able to pull it all the way in so that it fits flush on the glass with this grommet, so that we're sure we got a waterproof seal on that side. And once we get this guy into position, we can close that, and we're done with this piece. We come back on the inside here, find our hose that we pulled through here, and then just kind of give it a pull and make sure it's seated all the way in, and then we can reconnect it to the barb. And what I'd suggest you do is, before you actually put the cover back on, just get down here and run the sprayer and make sure it doesn't leak. And then the way you can get the cover back on, so we'll take these pins that we pushed out, and we'll take these clips, and we'll just push this in like that far. And then you give them a pinch as you put them back in, and then you take a larger punch, and you just push it in all the way until it's flush. All right. So I'm going to get all this set up, and we'll come back and I'll show you putting those in. All right, so just make sure you've got the barb on all the way. And then up in the top here, get a little bit of light so you can see, make sure you've got this piece of the grommet pulled through. And then on the other side, just going to lower this a little bit. You want to make sure that the grommet's flush. That way you'll be sure you're not getting any leaks. If you're not sure, you can leave the cover off. Give it a shot with the hose to make sure it's okay before you put the cover on. And again, good idea to check if you have any leaks. All right, to put the cover back on, I'm just going to tuck this old piece of tape up and out of the way. Just going to position it in the way you had it. And then, like I said, you take this clip, you put the pin in a little bit, you give him a pinch, you line him up where he goes. I'm just going to put a couple of these in to hold things down. This other one the same way on the top. This guy over here on this side. And then you come back with that larger punch I was mentioning. And you just come through and you push these in until they're flush. And as you push these in, it causes them to expand, and then they grip and they hold this guy on. I got one more to put on the other side that I'll do off the camera. But that's it, right? With that done, you got this repair in place, and you can have this, now you got a new arm on here and a new blade, and you should have no problem sweeping the rear clean. If you got some questions about this, go ahead and leave a comment. If you found this useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.